We're back. As soon as I saw what was inside, I gave a gasp. Kid stepped inside. Whoa, we've hit the mother lode. Out of the darkness loomed a veritable mountain of gold, silver, priceless works of art, and exquisite trinkets. Kid looked as if she were on the verge of drooling at the sight of it all, but what thief wouldn't have been? After all, this was the kind of hoard that few people would ever come across in their lifetime. The smallest fraction of this vast mound of riches would have seen even the most careless spendthrift set for life. Our goal is the frozen flame. Ignore the rest. Magil spoke with an icy dedication to our mission. He had not even batted an eyelid at the sight that greeted us. Yeah, I know. She was disappointed, of course. But she soon set about scanning the room for the object of our hunt. Wait. Is that it? Look, on the pedestal over there. I turned to see what Kid was pointing at. There it was, a small yet perfectly formed jewel that gave off a pale red light. A jewel that looked like a flickering fire suspended in time. The frozen flame. Silently, Magil walked toward the pedestal. I called out, "Wait, we have to be careful." "You're right, this is Lynx we're dealing with after all. It may very well be trapped. We should be on our guard." "We need to be quick about this, but fine, have it your way," grumbled Kid, looking away. Magil examined the pedestal for a short while, then paused. We were wise to be cautious. Placing his left hand on the base of the pedestal, he muttered an incantation, drawing quick sigils in the air with his right hand. Some glyphs appeared on its smooth surface and for a moment blazed brightly. There, now we can proceed. Magil calmly reached out and grabbed hold of the red jewel. Dun-da-da-da! Surge and friends obtained the frozen flame. Phew, we managed to get back what we came for without anything horrible happening to us. I breathed a sigh of relief and turned again to Magil. He was staring silently at the jewel in his hands. "Magil, we did it! Let's get out of..." Before I could finish, the frozen flame crumbled to dust. This flame was a fake. Lynx must be keeping the real one somewhere safe. What? Suddenly, a siren rang out. The room was flooded with light, and metal bars slammed down in front of the door. I turned with a gasp to see Kid frozen, an ornate crown in her hands, and a wide-eyed look of awkward shock on her face. God damn it, she pulled an Abu. Dun-da-da-da! Kid and friends obtained a golden crown, too. You're kidding me, right? You had to go and... You complete bonehead! I let rip with a stream of choice insults. In my head, that is. Metallic parrots in the four corners of the room suddenly came to life, flapping their wings and screeching, "Rack! Thieves! Thieves!" "We're in trouble. These things are going nowhere," said Magil, inspecting the bars covering the door. Although to look at him, you wouldn't have thought there was anything wrong. Which way? Which way? The parrots! The parrots! To the vault! We heard the voices in the distance. And then our guards were coming. Kid dived behind a pile of gold coins. Find somewhere to hide. In a panic, I looked around the room. There was a large chest sitting wide open next to a pillar. I rushed to empty it out, then plunged in head fast and closed the lid. Captain, there's no sign of anyone in there. No sign. Strange, peculiar. No one has ever escaped before. None have ever fled the mousetrap clutches. None. I gently pushed the lid of the chest and peeked through the gap. There were 5 goblins wearing suits of armor, unlocking the gate and about to make their way inside. One of the goblins looked around the room, jerking his neck as he peered into the shadows. Captain, what if it was actually a mouse this time? Chef was grumbling about mouses the other day. Captain. A mouse? A rodent? A rat? Would a teeny thing like that really have sprung the trap? Replied a stocky, plump-looking goblin. Who must have been the captain. He didn't seem convinced. That was when I heard a strange but oddly familiar sound from a corner of the room. It was coming from where Kid was hiding. Startled, the troop of goblins stopped and looked at each other. For a moment, none of them spoke. Eventually, the goblin captain rubbed his chin through his jowls and offered his thoughts. Mouses? I'm sure Chef was complaining about cats. Meow, meow. That voice again. Again, silence. The goblins only looked at each other. Funny you should say that, Captain. The way I heard it, weren't mouses weren't mouses or cats. It was a Heckran. An awkward silence followed. In my mind's eye, I could see Kid racking her brains to work out what a Heckran was. I smell a rat, by which I mean a thief. Following the captain's lead, the guards reached for their weapons, and then... Heck, 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 heck. Hecka, heck, heck. Hecka, heck, heck. Ran, hecka, ran. Listen, it really is a Heckran. By heck, that proves it. The goblin guards grinned and nodded to each other. Cheeky little devil surprised me there. Let's get out of here, boys. The goblins filed out of the vault. I breathed a sigh of relief. Then they came charging back in again with a mighty roar. There's no such thing as Heckrans! What, you sneaky little buggers? Roared Kid, leaping out from behind the pile of gold coins. You're one to talk, thief! Brandishing their weapons menacingly, the goblins moved slowly forward, forcing Kid into a corner. I quietly eased open the lid of the coffer and slipped out. Can't leave you anywhere, can I muttered to myself. I knew Kid could handle himself. I didn't fancy her odds against a whole troop of heavily armed goblins. For a moment, I wasn't sure what to do, but then I made up my mind. I had to save Kid. Right, I had to save Kid. There was no way I was going to abandon a friend in need. Even if it meant facing off against a group of 5 goblin guards, I'd find a way to come out on top. I hoped. I drew the knife from my belt and leapt into the middle of the room. Hey, snot for brainses, over here! The goblins all turned to look at me at the same time. 10 beady, cruel little eyes all staring daggers at me. Fool! In a hurry to die, are we? I gulped, and wondered if making you run for it might have been a better plan of action after all. Ah, humans are so stupid! The goblin captain chuckled and licked his teeth. Yep, this one's got a death wish, alright. Why else would he be so stupid as to come after Lord Lynx's treasure? Ha, that's a first, being called dumb by a bloody goblin? Try acting tough when you're crying to your mum later on. Judging by Kid's response, she wasn't feeling massively threatened. And you tell her it was Kid who kicked your teeth in. So you're Kid, are you? The sneaky, little, slippery little thief we've heard so much about? The goblin narrowed his eyes. Lord Lynx will be thanking me from now on until my retirement when I bring him your head on a silver platter. The goblin captain pulled his morning star from his waist and started swinging. You don't know who you're messing with. We ain't no ordinary goblin, sweetheart. We're Lord Lynx's elite guard, the goblins that gobble other goblins. That's right, the Gob Squad. Oh, quit shooting your mouth off and let me stick a boot in it. With that, Kid launched into a lightning-fast spinning kick. Her boot connected with the side of the goblin's head and a crack, sending the creature tumbling to the ground. Get him, lads. The boy looks scrawny. Start with him. The goblin captain spun the heavy metal ball of his morning star in the air. Glorious Gob Strike! Aye, aye. The goblins charged across the room in response to their captain's command. Gob Strike incoming. The goblin rushed towards me, swinging its weapon overhead. I swiftly dodged the attack. The morning star brushed past my cheek. I don't know how, but I managed to escape unscathed. I lost my balance, though, and I fell clumsily to the floor. Magil conjured up a black wind that surged forth like shearing tempest. How does a human know a spell like that? Who are you? The goblin was quickly silenced as the rushing winds tore through it, and it collapsed to the floor with a final shriek. Magil looked down at his victim, his expression unchanged. Another goblin flew down from overhead. Bombs away! The growl sent its morning star swinging from above. I was better off attacking than trying a clumsy dodge. I tackled the goblin head on. Literally, I smashed my skull into the goblin's grim visage as hard as I could. A shock ran through my neck and shoulders like I'd been brained with a hammer. But it was worth it. Teeth and spittle flew to the floor right as the great ugly brute rolled stunned across the floor. A blazing pain seared through my mind, and I fell to my knees. Gob Strike incoming! The goblin rushed towards me, swinging its weapon overhead. I swiftly dodged the attack. The morning star brushed past my cheek. I don't know how, but I managed to keep unscathed. To the floor. Another of the goblins hesitated for just a moment, only to be run through by a spear of pure lightning conjured up by magic. The goblin let out a blood-curdling howl as electricity coursed through its body. It clutched awkwardly at its chest where it had been struck, its face contorted with agony and horror. Magil's cape fluttered, and his piercing eyes stared coldly at the goblin. None who defy me shall escape my wrath. Another goblin flew down from overhead. This time I rolled. I rolled a across the floor, dodging the attack. The Morningstar crashed into the flagstone, sending sparks flying. That was a close shave. I made good my escape by rolling further, clumsily putting some distance between myself and my attacker. Gob strike incoming, and we dodge again. I swiftly dodged the attack. Well, I tried to, at least. The Morningstar slammed into my shoulder with a sickening impact. I writhed in agony, at the same time trying not to lose sight of where the next blow might be coming from. Yeah! That's the spirit, Scumbag. I ain't done with you yet. Kid lashed out with a lightning fast kick. There's more where that came from. Please have mercy. The stricken goblin collapsed to the floor, its eyes wide with fear. This ain't a game, Surge. Watch yourself, will ya? Long live Lord Lynx. Glory to the Gob Squad. With these final words, the goblin collapsed. That was the last of them. We made it. Ha! Piece of cake, said Kid, putting a brave face on things as she wiped the sweat from her brow with her arm. And then she stood and looked at me. Surge, what were you thinking, you great Drongo? Getting the goblins to come after you like that. You really don't have to, you know. Still, thanks. Can't say I wasn't happy to see your crazy arse jump in like that. She was actually smiling at me. Kid's smile kindled a light inside me, and with it a peculiar warmth that came in ripples. And then Magil stepped in. Save the chatter for later. We can't waste any more time here. The frozen flame must be somewhere else in the manor. Alright, mate. Thanks for stating the obvious. It's not my bloody fault that Lynx has to make things so bloody difficult for everyone. Kid spun on her heel and made a sulky about face for the door. Suddenly her attention returned to a pile of defeated goblins. This bunch of Drongos said they're Lynx's elite guard, right? But they've got some nice loot on them. With that, she started unceremoniously rummaging through the fallen captain's pockets. She was like a hyena sniffing for scraps. Hello, hello, what's this? She found an odd metal plate. It resembled an open hand and was covered in runes. Reckon this might open some other magic door somewhere. Well, you never know, it might come in handy. Either way, finders keepers. The plate vanished into Kid's pocket. Looks like there's nothing else worth taking, unless you count pocket lint and bits of string. She rose to her feet and looked around the room. You know, it's a real shame to leave the rest of all this loot just sitting here unloved. I suppose we can come back for it whenever. Kid turned to face us and flashed a grin. Alright, lads, let's get a move on. It ain't gonna be dark forever. The head-shaped plate is our only clue for now, muttered Magil, seemingly to himself. And with that, we left the vault in search of the real frozen flame. Well, I know where we have to go now. Just keep going. Study. Let's keep going. Nope, wrong door. I was in a tiny welcoming room. The knickknacks, curios, out around the place. Stranger luxury. With the entrance. Was this the door we needed to? Nope. I'm lost now. Floating in the air took us, and then it took form, like someone blowing smoke into a person-shaped bottle. It was robed in a ragged shroud, and its sunken eyes blinked amazingly. It was the burning hatred that lingers even after death given form. But being driven by hatred for all living things. A ghost. Bugger, that's us out, Kid bit her lip. There wasn't anything she or I could do to deal with an enemy that had no physical body. A voice boomed out behind me, magically began casting a spell. Eyes met Kid's and Mangel's without the word being taken from us. A plan was hatched. We both already seen it open. Mangel quickly lobbed the spell at the ghost and distracted. He slipped away while its attention was elsewhere. We'd sorely underestimated it. As if anticipating our movements, the ghost suddenly swelled in size, trapping us completely within its spectral embrace. The core of the ghost, where its face seemed to be, had more substance than the rest of it. And I didn't just slip through like I thought I would. I oozed through it like I was stuck in some kind of Ye gods, it was disgusting. More disgusting than anything I'd ever known. And it was impossibly cold. It felt like it was draining all the heat right out of my blood. Like it was draining my life force in that. I struggled to break free, but I could no longer find no perch in the blue ectoplasm. The piercing chill became all the more bitter, so much so that I didn't even know what cold meant anymore. I could vaguely make out Kid and Mantle through the ghost's body and what they were doing. Things were looking pretty bad for me. Surge. When I say kid, what are the first words that come to mind? Asked Mantle. I suddenly snapped out of the haze. The bane of my existence, I answered immediately. What? I answered in my mind. So cold. I could feel blood draining out of the room with an audible sigh. My consciousness became more and more hazy. I wonder how things are back. Surge, what would a washerwoman wish for? Mantle had come out with another strange question. Yeah, buddy, I'll thank you not to go counting me undies, you filthy perv. Then I'll thank you to stop making me wash them every week. Maybe when we get out of this mess, she'd do her own laundry for once. The piercing chill became all the more bitter, so much Meg, what are you? It was no good. I was trying to find out what I was actually talking about, but I couldn't even use my mouth. I feel like I have it all the time. It sent something surging in my consciousness. Words of power filled my mind with an almost physical force. It was Mantle. He was using my mind as a conduit to attack the ghost on the astral plane. An explosion of energy, unutterable, unpronounceable words of power filled my surroundings and blasted away the whole day. My head felt like it was going to boil from the blazing heat that surged through it. Surge! Oi, Surge, you still with us, mate? Someone was slapping me around the face. Someone who seemed to be enjoying it immensely. Kid, stop it, damn you! I leapt to my feet, wide awake again in an instant. Mag, did you really have to use me like that? When dealing with foes who attack the mind, it's simplest to lure them in with bait, then use their intended prey's consciousness as a conduit in order to make an assault from the astral plane. A direct magical attack would have meant a lengthy battle, a far less elegant solution, he replied without a trace of guilt. Alright, let's keep moving. Kid gave the order to continue, the seemingly completely oblivious to my brush with death. It was a mess. My body was screaming with pain, and I felt like I might pass out at any moment. If I took much more punishment from Lynx's minions, my night was going to be over pretty soon. Maybe you ain't such a drowner. I'm gonna save here. terrace overlooking the garden, and then we went back into the manor. I could have swore it was to the left. Okay, we went down the left corridor. Went down some stairs. Hey, yeah. Do I have to? I asked, knowing the answer. Ah, okay. Yeah, now we have the correct item. Did not want to swim through the Prawn-filled lake. But we can go to Old Beardy now. I took the hand-shaped metal plate we'd found. After taking another look at the runes, it was no closer to working out what they might mean. Here goes nothing. I stuck the plate into the mouth of the Truth's marble maw. As soon as I did so, its eyes rolled upward and the wall gave a light judder. A low rumbling sound came from the sculpture's mouth. This, indeed, is the ultimate truth of the universe. Did you hear something? Yeah. I watched the mouth of truth in confusion. Its great marble tongue lolled out, almost like a snake. It coiled around the plate, seizing it and pulling it in deep inside. What's going on? In a panic, I looked to Magil for answers. It seems this ineffable truth of the universe has left even the mouth of truth tongue-tied. Magil answered in his usual deadpan manner. I think he might even have been trying to make a joke. Hang on, so that plate thingy revealed the truth of the universe? And you went and crammed it down Beardy's gullet? Do you realize how much we could have sold that for? Kid kicked the floor in frustration and snapped her fingers. And then, drains on all sides of the room suddenly opened wide. The red water formed eddies as it sank away. Helpless, the Pteranodons were washed away with the current. Soon only trickles of water were left, slowly dripping away. Well, that's a stroke of luck, ain't it? Guess we won't be sleeping with the fishes tonight, grinned Kid, looking at the empty pool. We crossed the drained room, making for the exit on the other side, and pressed on. We went through the atrium and continued down a corridor before finding ourselves at a fork in the road. The corridor stretched off to the left and the right. Let's go left. We continued down the corridor, eventually reaching an old, rather sturdy-looking door. Bloody marvelous. Another bloody door with a bloody magic barrier on it. What's this inside? Me sixth sense tells me it ain't treasure. Kid whispered back to us as she examined the door. I suspect that this is the manor's dungeon, replied Magil, his eyes closed in concentration. I can hear the sound of someone moaning in the darkness on the other side, but there's nothing we can do, and thus is of little concern to us now. Let us turn back. With no way of getting through the door, we retraced our steps down the corridor. After making our way down the dark corridor, we came to a branch in the path. The path to the right would take us back to the atrium with the fountain. If we continue straight on, that'll take us to the right? We continued down the dark, dank corridor until some stairs leading down finally came into view. Slowly, we crept down the staircase, descending deeper into the shadows as we went. At the bottom, we found ourselves in another intersection. The dim, narrow passageway branched left and right. We continued down the corridor until it ended at a large door covered in scratches and other odd marks. Above the door was a wooden plate. It bore the legend, Guard Room, in elaborate calligraphy. Well, reckon this might be where we find the key to that door upstairs. No getting past that bloody magic barrier without it. Kid pressed an ear against the door and listened carefully. Doesn't sound like anyone's in there, she whispered. Then let's go inside and examine. Kid opened the door. The room had seemed completely silent from the outside, and so we thought it would be empty, but there inside was a lone goblin. It was sitting in a chair with a book in its hand. A light steam drifted from the teacup on the table in front of it, and with it a delicate aroma. The goblin peered at us curiously over its spectacles. There was something different about this one. I could tell as much at a glance. Heavens, how rare it is to have guests. Heavens? How well spoken for a goblin. I could only feel dread and suspicion at the sight of him nonetheless. Sorry, mate, but we're not your guests. Cough up the key to the dungeon if you want to live. Kid slammed her knife on the table to illustrate her point. But the goblin didn't so much as flinch. Ah, you must be Kid. What a pleasure this is. I have always so wanted to meet you. Why, you're even more ravishing than the rumors would. Before the goblin could finish, Kid's knife flew through the air. With a quick flick of his wrist, the goblin caught the blade with the back of his book, a mere inch from his face. I see that your approach is as radical as the name of your merry band would suggest, the goblin said, pulling the knife free and handing it back to Kid. She took it without a word, but her gaze had changed. She was like a cat, cautiously studying its prey. And now I was just getting to the good part, too. Ah, well, I suppose I shall have to give up on ever finishing it now. The goblin casually flung the book over his shoulder and into a nearby bin. Allow me to introduce myself, if I may. I am Grismeld, and I am the guard on watch. No need to stand. Please, do take a seat. You're welcome to tea, of course. The goblin beckoned us to sit down. Did he mean to poison us? If I may. Madrill calmly took a seat, ignoring the obvious suspicion in the air. I decided to trust Madrill's instincts and took a seat next to him. He had some kind of plan in mind, I was sure of it. Kid didn't look like she'd be pulling up a chair anytime soon. She was standing with her arms crossed, eyeing the goblin suspiciously. The goblin poured 3 cups of tea. Here you are. Without the slightest hint of hesitation, Madrill took his teacup and lifted it to his lips. He sipped, then placed the cup back on its saucer. Heal my alien tea. Not a blend I'd expect to find here. What a pleasure it is to encounter a fellow connoisseur. Yes, it is a rare blend, and one mainly enjoyed by the noble classes. I couldn't believe the conversation I was hearing, but I also couldn't help wondering what this rare tea might taste like. My eyes rested on the cup that had been poured for me. I couldn't shake the fear that it might be poisoned, but I also couldn't ignore how delicious it smelled. Before I knew it, the cup was in my hands. This is great, I blurted out. I'd never had such delicious brew in my life. My aches and pains faded away. I glanced over at Kid, who was blowing manically at the liquid in her cup. I'd forgotten that she was paranoid about burning her mouth on things. Now that we are comfortable, let's get down to brass tacks, as they say. I do indeed have the key to the dungeon, as you surmised, but you will also be aware that I cannot simply give it away. I glanced over to Kid again. Typical. She wasn't listening to a word Grismeld was saying. She was still huffing and puffing at her tea. It seemed to be up to me to respond. Suppose that means you'd like to know what I want? I want your heads. Grismeld's eyes glistened behind his spectacles. Or rather, I'm sure that's what my employer would have me say, but no, I have no such barbarous aspirations. Furthermore, I doubt I'd be a match for you. Grismeld chuckled as he said this. What I live for is a joy of conversation, which I fear my compatriots are ill-equipped to supply. Perhaps you might have 1 or 2 ripping yarns to share? Grinning, he added, I'm sure notorious thieves such as yourselves must have more than a few thrilling tales up your sleeves. So he wanted to hear a story. That seemed more than a fair price to pay for the key. I closed my eyes and thought, aha, I know just the story. How did it begin? One night, a young girl was walking alone in the forest. And then she was searching for a golden sunflower. She walked and walked, but the sunflower was nowhere to be found. She went for 3 days and 3 nights with them. The fragments I remember seemed about right. There was only one way the story could end. I took my breath and began my tale. One night, a young girl was walking alone in the forest. She was searching for a golden sunflower, the only way to cure her sick mother's illness. The poor girl went without food for 3 days and 3 nights. And then, in her moment of darkest despair, she saw a brilliant light. It was none other than the golden sunflower she sought. The young girl gratefully pocketed the sunflower seeds. These will surely save my mother, she thought. But it was all a dream. With a smile on her face, the girl drifted off and dreamed forevermore. That was beautiful, murmured Kid, wiping a tear from her eye. Grismeld frowned. Not quite what I was expecting, and not the most riveting of tales, but I suppose it will do. The key, as promised. I took it from Grismeld's hand. Something didn't seem right, though. Was he really going to give it up so easily? And was it really all right to trust such a strange goblin? Griswold seemed to notice my suspicion. He leaned back in his chair, looking at the ceiling. When I was a young tyro, a braver, stupider goblin, I once served General Viper, who was the lord of this manor until his betrayal by Lord Lynx. Despite my boorishness, Lady Riddle always saw something in me worthy of praise. Wait, Riddle? What's Lynx's adopted daughter got to do with anything? Oh, you didn't know? Riddle's real father was none other than General Viper himself. What? Lord Lynx spared Lady Riddle's life so as not to snuff out that of the frozen flame. It's an uncanny stone, you see. It has a life of its own, and some kind of spiritual bond with Lady Riddle. If only there was some way I could free Milady from this manor. Alas, I alone am powerless to do any such thing. Of course, I would no qualms if say, you were to topple the usurper. I assume you intend to? Slay the old beast, I mean? It was a strange inquiry to make so casually. Well, if it comes to it... I was more than a little taken aback by the directness of Griswold's question. I never expected to find one of Lynx's own guards asking him something like that. Suddenly, I was shoved aside. Not if it comes to it. We're gonna kill him tonight and kill him good. It was Kid, of course. And in exchange, I'll have some more of that tea to take with us. Kid held her hand out before Griswold could offer an answer. I suppose I have a bag I can share. Griswold shuffled awkwardly in his seat as he retrieved it. As ever, I was impressed at how Kid's uncompromising attitude and willingness to speak her mind seemed to always get her what she wanted. Bonzer, sit tight and leave the rest to us, mate. Stowing the bag in her pocket, Kid took the job. You can trust me, I'm a girl of me word. That might have been the biggest lie she'd ever told. Right, let's get moving. She made for the door with a spring in her step. We left the room and Griswold behind. Now we have the key to the other door. We left the room and took the left turn down the corridor. We followed for a while before coming to an intersection. The corridor also continued directly ahead, but the way was completely enshrouded in darkness. What the? What the? Get a whiff of that. Something smells good, whispered Kid, sniffing at the air. Well, we'll worry about this door next time. Until then, everybody.